Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be remaking my Ahsoka Tano Mandalorian cosplay shirt. The one I have right now works perfectly fine. I'm really happy with it. There's nothing really wrong with it other than the fact I did use a wool blend fabric for it, so it is very thick and very warm to wear. So I want to make an alternative version that is made with a lighter weight fabric so it's more comfortable and a little bit cooler to wear in hotter weather. So let's get started and I'll show you guys how I did it. Alright, so here is my current Mandalorain Ahsoka top. So it's got two layers right here that fold over each other to give that neckline, and then it's got another layer right here that forms the vest. So honestly, I am pretty happy with how this came out. I honestly don't have very many fit issues with it. My biggest complaint with it is the fabric I used for these three layers is a wool blend. So it's hot. It is very hot to wear. And this fabric also is pretty thick. So it is kind of bulky. But honestly, if I had used thinner fabric, I probably would not have planned on remaking this. And then it does just have a spandex underlayer. Honestly, I just want to remake this with some thinner fabric so that it is more comfortable to wear in hotter weather. And I do also want to turn it into a bodysuit. I think that a bodysuit would be a little bit more comfortable to wear and a little bit more easier to deal with, so I wouldn't have to deal with the shirt riding up or anything. So I've already started working on the bodysuit. So here it is. And it is just a very basic two-piece bodysuit made out of some four-way stretch spandex. I do have a couple of little things I need to trim up still. I need to fix the arm side to make sure it sits where I want. I need to fix the front collar so that it actually sits comfortably and everything. I've already gone through and fitted the chest and waist of this, so that's all good. And then I do need to finish fitting down here and actually clean up these hems. Alright, so I got my bodysuit all sewn together. It is all fitted. I have snaps sewn on the bottom, and they are sewn with 3 different colors of thread, but whatever, you're not going to see it, so I don't care. So this is all fitted. I have the neckline and the arm size where I want them. I have the back about where I want it. I think the back is a little too wide, but I'm going to leave it until I can have someone actually mark out the back for me. But I would rather it be too wide than too narrow because I can always trim it down later. So now I am cutting out this fabric. You can kind of see the faint chalk line that I have for this part. This is the under layer, the wrap layer. And the way I drew this out is I just took this one and I just laid it out and traced it the best that I could. I am going to cut it out with a little bit of extra seam allowance just so I have some room to put those darts in that are in it. But I'm also not as worried about fitting this because this fabric does have some stretch to it, whereas this wool fabric I use does not have any stretch. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I am just going to pin the sides on here along the seam so that I can get it fitted. So this fabric I don't have enough of to make the full bodysuit length. So for this underlayer, I am just going to do just partial length, and I'll probably stop at about my hips instead of going all the way down the bodysuit, just because I don't have enough fabric and I don't want to spend any more money because I've already spent a lot of money on fabric and materials for this cosplay. Alright, so I went in and while I was wearing it, I pinned down this side and the shoulder seam before I tried it on. And then once I had it on, I pinned down this side and then pinned in some darts so that it looks nice and it fits me well. So now what I'm going to do is just get some chalk or a marker. I'm going to go in, mark all of these lines where I have my pins, and then once I have those marked, I'm going to transfer them to the other piece and then sew my darts. Alright, so I have my seam lines all marked out, and I just used a Crayola marker so it will wash out, so I'm not worried about it. My darts aren't symmetrical, but I'm also not too worried about that. So I do have them on both pieces. So I have all my markings on both pieces, so now I'm just going to go ahead and sew up these darts. And then I am going to do a running stitch along these seam lines because I am planning on dyeing this just a little bit darker. And since this is water soluble marker, I don't want to lose these marks in the dye bath. And then once I have all that sewing done, I'm going to do the vest part. Alright, so here is where we are at with the bodysuit. So I have these pieces just pinned on along the seams for right now. And I have gone in and done a little bit of adjusting and fitting. These pins right here are just to hold it in place because the belt, right when I'm wearing this, the belt will hold it in place. But I do still have a couple of other fitting issues that I need to address. But for right now, I am very happy with how it is fitting and how it is looking. Alright, so I have my fabric all dyed and now it is all ready to be sewn together. These layers didn't dye quite as dark as I would have liked. I would have liked them to have been a couple shades darker, but I'm just going to go with this for now because I am pretty over dyeing fabric. So what I am going to do next is kind of go backwards a couple of steps, and I'm actually going to take this apart. And then, so the reason I'm taking this apart is so I can stitch these side seams all together so it'll be all nice and clean on the outside and everything will line up how I want it to. If you don't want to rip apart your shirt or your bodysuit, you could just stitch it. You could top stitch it to the seam, but personally I am going to rip my bodysuit apart and sew everything back together. Alright, so it's been a little bit. I've done quite a few things that I didn't record because I completely forgot. So as you can see, the bodysuit is all sewn together. So I do have all of my seams all nice and sewn. Everything is put together and I am very, very happy with it. I'm very happy with how it fits and everything. And I have started putting the collar on. So I just went in and machine stitched the outside. And then I'm going to fold this over and hand stitch the inside so that I can cover up these raw edges and not have any visible top stitching or anything on the outside. So I did tuck in both sides of these underlayers into the seam so they are both secured. And then I did do some stitching right here where the belt sits, just so I don't have to worry about this vest part, you know, moving or shifting and getting all weird. So I did stitch that down so that it will stay in place. And then the bottom is still loose. I will probably go in and tack that down someday. I did go in and trim up the bottom a little bit, but that's where we're at. So all I have left to do is just to hand stitch the inside of this collar down, and then I will show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so here is the bodysuit all finished and sewn together. I did put the double collar in it. This is separate, just to make it a little easier to get on and off. I am fairly happy with how it looks. My only complaint is I do think that this trim right here, I did make a little too short. I think this is about an 1.25 inches it ended up turning out to be. I think I am going to take it off and put on something that's closer to 1 3/4, 2 inches instead, just so it'll sit a little bit higher up, especially in the back here, because it's kind of gapping a little bit right there, and this inner collar doesn't really come down any farther. But other than that, I am very happy with how it's fitting, and I am very happy with how it's looking. Alright, so I went in and made this collar a little bit taller, and it is much better. I am much happier with how it's sitting. Still have to, there we go. I am much happier with how it's sitting and how it looks. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful, and let me know if you have any questions or comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!